Hi, my name is John Funk. This is the saga of years of research. I'll show you how an old 4x5 negative and a print with a caption on it led me to pinpoint the location of a crash scene 80 years later. This journey starts with my dad's old footlocker from World War II. Dad was the photo chief of the 34th Bomb Group, and when he returned from his overseas duties, he brought back a box of negatives and prints of photos that he had taken during the war to help him with his next assignment as a teacher of photography at Lowry Field in Denver, Colorado. Somehow that box survived the test of time and 6 kids. Around 1987, when digital image processing was just getting started, I got this crazy idea that I could digitize some of those photos. Scanning these old historical photos was a slow and meticulous process. At my peak, I was able to scan about 10 photos in an evening of work because I had to carefully take the images out of their storage container, remove the protective sleeve, scan them, and then put everything back together again. Working through the entire collection took years, but in 2021, I finally finished the project and I ended up with 4,926 digital images from Dad's old collection of negatives and prints. This is one of the first photos I shared online. A few days later, someone I didn't know named Doug Shelley posted a comment identifying the airplane and the person in the photo. It turns out the photo was Shepard G. Litsey, and he and my dad were close friends who trained together and worked closely together in the 34th Bomb Group's photo team. Over the years, I've been able to surface nearly 100 photos of Litsey from my dad's collection. I've published most of those on Flickr for everybody to be able to see. On November 5, 1944, B-17 4338363 went down with Litsey and a crew of 10 on board due to a direct hit by flak. My dad was also on that mission, and through the battle he was able to get a photo of Litsey and the ship going down. Dad said he had a photo of Litsey's ship going down somewhere in his collection, but I had to find it somewhere in that box of 5,000 photos. Over the years, I organized and grouped similar images together, and sure enough, there was a negative and a couple of prints of the event. However, those photos weren't great. This was a full-on aerial battle, and the sky was filled with flak and smoke, and Litsey's ship was not that close. So I had to use every trick I know to digitally enhance the image to pull out as much detail as possible. To find the location of Dad's photo with Google Earth, I knew I would have to take an organized approach. I loaded in some key reference points based on my research over the years, and I selected a search area of a few miles in each direction from the reported crash site. The next step was the labor-intensive part. I spent hours in multiple sessions flying around with Google Earth, looking for features that matched Dad's photos. With each successive session, I was starting to think I would never find a match. However, on Saturday, November 16, 2024, a distinctive feature in a ridgeline caught my eye. As I scanned around, I also saw a distinctive cut in the trees. With some careful Google Earth piloting, I was able to line up a shot that is nearly identical to the photo my dad took back in 1944. Being a bit of a perfectionist, I wanted to make sure that I wasn't letting hope get in the way of a true match. So I created an image that overlaid the modern image from Google Earth with Dad's old negative. The results showed without a doubt that this is where the photo was taken. Hi, this is John Funk. Let me take you on a tour of how I pinpointed the location of B-17 number 4338363 going down on November 5th, 1944 in the mission to Ludwigshafen from the original photos that my father took 80 years ago. The first thing I did was load some key points into a project in Google Earth. They included Ludwigshafen, which was the target for the mission, and Mannheim, which was the reported crash site, as well as a few other nearby references from my research. Next, I drew the boundaries of the area that I wanted to search. The next part was the tedious part. I flew in and searched every foot of my target area until I found a couple of key features in today's terrain that matched the features from the original photo. This took several sessions of flying around but not finding anything that matched. However, on Saturday, November 16th, 2024, a distinctive crescent feature in a ridgeline caught my eye. As I scanned around, another distinctive feature in the trees popped out at me. With those 2 points, I knew I was in the right place. With a little fine-tuning, I was able to come up with a near-perfect match to the camera view my dad had taken on the mission back in 1944. Comparing the old photo to today's landscape, I was able to drop a pin on the location of the doomed B-17. That concludes this short tour. I hope you enjoyed seeing how I do my research.